So yesterday we talked about Jenny Wade, the heroine of Gettysburg, who died helping federal troops who were exhausted. Today we're going to discuss one of my favorite characters from Gettysburg, who was literally the grumpy old man of the town, John Burns. John Burns was actually not from Gettysburg. He was not a local. He was born in Burlington, New Jersey in September of 1793 to a Scottish family. Not much of his early life is known except his relocation to the town of Gettysburg. It isn't known if he had known the children of Alexander Dobbin, the minister who started off the first schoolhouse in Gettysburg. But in 1812, as the wars in Europe intensified, President James Madison declared war on Great Britain, which John Burns immediately volunteered for. Serving mostly in the Eastern Theater, he would then retire back to Gettysburg at the end of the war. Life was boring for this aging man. He did not like the normal. He didn't like to just sit around. He liked adventure. He liked to go out and do things. So that would change greatly until President Polk would declare war on Mexico in 1846. Again, Burns was first off to another adventure, attempting to volunteer for the war. Again, he was off, fighting from the Rio Grande to Mexico City. He was 53 when he volunteered and 54 when he returned to Gettysburg. Now he became the town veteran, but also the town's eccentric. He moved into his home on the northern outskirts of Gettysburg. He again became idle and raised a family, but was missing something. That something would come back in April of 1861, when Southerners fired on the Union fort in Charleston Harbor of Fort Sumter. Again, Burns, smiling, ran to the recruiting station at Adams County in the town of Gettysburg. Unfortunately, the now 67 John Burns was denied service due to his age. But he found his way to help anyway, becoming a teamster in the Union Army. So today a teamster would be like a truck driver, but back then during the Civil War, it was someone who would carry supply wagons and help the army on the move. But soon he was asked to step down, and again he was sent back to Gettysburg, where he was now beginning to be forced to realize how old he was and what the effect was having on his life. He was named Constable of Gettysburg in 1863, but in June 26, Jubal Early had occupied the town for a short period. A constable was pretty much the town cop, so he was arrested by the Confederates, but after they withdrew, the townspeople released him. And in John Burns fashion, he pursued the stragglers of the Confederate Army, arresting them and locking them in the Adams County Courthouse jail in the center of the town of Gettysburg. He awoke July 1st, 1863, with the sound of gunfire and battling. Instead of evacuating the town, he put his waistcoat, jacket, and top hat on, grabbed his powder horn and haversack full of bullets, then brandished his 1812 flintlock musket, looking to see where he could help. In the most John Burns style, he came upon a wounded Union soldier. He looked at the young Union soldier and asked if he could borrow his Enfield rifle and rounds. The young man obliged. Burns dropped his musket, grabbed the rifle, and shoved a bunch of the boy's cartridges in his pocket. Soon he came upon an officer of the 150th Pennsylvania Bucktails and asked if he could fall in with them. Colonel Wisser of the 150th then directed him to McPherson, then known as Herbst, Woods, stating he would have cover from the sun and enemy bullets. But once he got there, he began to fight alongside the 7th Wisconsin. When he ran out of rounds, he would simply kneel, taking from the dead Federal troops to continue fighting. He fought almost the entire afternoon with the Iron Brigade, getting shot once in his leg, once in his arm, and several wounds in his chest. But as the day went against the Union, they had to abandon the man, and he crawled away from the fighting areas. When he was discovered by Confederate soldiers, he immediately had to make up a story, since it was against the rules of combat for non-uniformed combatants to fight, and early that day, Burns had actually been killing many infantry, as well as shooting a Confederate officer from his horse. He made up a lie that his wife was invalid, and she in fact caused the wounds he was suffering from. The Confederates allowed him to leave. He returned to his home where a local surgeon immediately came and removed the bullets from him. He survived all his wounds. John Burns was 69 years old. His 70th birthday was 3 months away. He sat the rest of the battle out, but after the fighting, he became a national hero. The 69-year-old who went out and fought. When President Lincoln visited that November to dedicate the National Cemetery, Burns was introduced to the president, and the two had talked extensively on the battle and what Burns had experienced, and also, just like President Lincoln liked, a little fun storytelling between the two of them. After the way Burns began to travel the country, though, many of his friends did not want him to. But he would make appearances and discuss his exploits. But in 1871, Burns was found in New York City, in what can be described as destitution. He was brought back to Gettysburg, where he would die in 1872 from complications related to pneumonia. I call him the Madman of Gettysburg in admiration, because not many people in general would do what he did. Now on top of that, he was 69, fighting and sniping Confederate soldiers. He was buried at Evergreen Cemetery, and much like Jenny Wade, given a permanent American flag above his grave, due to his heroism on July 1st. Thanks for watching again, folks. I'm going to keep trying to pump out content on Gettysburg. Like I've said, there's so much events, people, and information, and I want to keep going. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to start going into some of the generals, which I love personally. I love talking about the generals. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you real soon.